There are today's 3 audience member. Thanks, guys. Imagine not being able to control your body motions. Day-to-day tasks become impossible to fulfill. Going to get gas for your car, going to get food for yourself. Nearly impossible. You are addicted to heroin. One day you decide to quit cold turkey. You think enough is enough and you're done with it. According to Drug Facts article, about 14 hours after your last dosage, you begin to experience body aches. You're hot, you're cold, you're hot again, your internal temperature's thrown off. You throw up. You cannot escape the harmful effects of heroin. Throughout this informative speech, we're going to discuss the rising popularity in the drug, the harmful effects it has on the body and the mind, as well as treatment to the drug. There is no cure for it, but you can treat it. First off, let's discuss the rising popularity of the drug. Eliza Gray with Time Magazine says there's a couple reasons why the drug is becoming popular. Right now, it is cheaper than ever. Average heroin user saves about $40 to $100 a day on the drug because of how cheap it is. Depending on your demographic, a daily usage could cost about $10 or upwards of $25. It's relatively cheap. It's in high supply because it's so cheap, so it's going out to areas that wouldn't be exposed otherwise before. That's why we're seeing such a rise in popularity of the drug, because more people are exposed to the drug. Also is that it is a lot like painkiller prescription drugs, like Vicodin or Percocet and such. It carries the exact same properties almost identically. So that is the growing use of heroin. Now let's discuss some of the harmful effects that it has on the body and the mind. Moments after one uses heroin, they begin to get a euphoric, dreamy sensation throughout the body in which they experience no pain and everything in the world seems to be wonderful. Slowly after that, your arms and legs begin to get heavy, and that's where you get the body impairment and day-to-day tasks become impossible to fulfill. Heroin directly affects the central nervous system as well as the respiratory system. The central nervous system, you can't think. Your mind's going 1,000 miles an hour and it's all distraught and you just cannot think. And how it affects your respiratory system is that it slows down your breathing substantially. And that's according to PhD Lee Anderson in the article that she wrote. It also blocks pain messages to the brain, which is identical to what painkillers do in prescription drugs, such as Vicodin and Percocet. That's when you get the body-numbing sensation that users experience from heroin. Arifa Kasoboy conducted a study out of Illinois, and it showed that 75% of heroin users had mental health illness. And now this is important because instead of getting treatment for mental health, these people actually turn to heroin to escape the problems that they go through, their anxiety, depression, their ADD, ADHD, etc. It's awful. So instead of us sending these people to treatment facilities for mental health, they actually turn to street drugs such as heroin, and it's not the safe route. That's not what people should be doing. Here we're going to take a look at a couple charts. We see here on this first one that this is the deaths per 100 population, and this line down here is heroin. And in 2010, there was roughly around 100,000 related deaths to heroin. And now we see this big spike all the way in 2013, which is over 300,000 deaths. And so that's a substantial rise. Here, this chart is the past year heroin users and heroin dependents amongst 12 people and older. In the past year, we haven't seen much of a heroin user rise, stayed the same, but we do see a rise down here in how many people have tried heroin. It went up about 30,000 people. Down here we have a couple facts on if you're addicted to different substances, how much you're likely to become addicted to heroin. Alcohol, if you drink alcohol, you're 2 times more likely to become addicted to heroin. If you smoke marijuana, you're 3 times more likely to become addicted to heroin. Cocaine is 15 times more likely to become addicted to heroin. And now this is the big one right here. Prescription opioid painkillers, you're 40 times more likely to become addicted to heroin. And that raises a problem in my eyes. So after the awful effects of heroin, we want to see these people get out of it and get some treatment for it. So what are some ways to treating heroin? Well, according to an article on treating heroin, there are 3 phases that one should take in becoming free of heroin, because withdrawal is so awful that one can actually die from withdrawing from heroin. The 3 phases, the first one is the withdrawal phase. And that's where the person experiences many physical and emotional hardnesses. And it's very difficult for them because they're now off the substance that they used to take so frequently. So that's a very crucial phase. Phase 2 is the therapy phase. And that's where you'll go to a rehab facility and they'll teach you how to cope with the triggers for heroin. They'll run over scenarios on how to say no to the drug and also give you, some type of activities to do instead of, making heroin use an activity. The third phase is the maintenance phase. Now, this is the most important and crucial phase out of the 3 because this is when an individual is all on their own. They have no supervision whatsoever, so it's up to them whether or not if they want to continue to be off of the drug or if they want to go back to taking the drug. So it's very important. There are 2 different types of facilities. You have an outpatient facility as well as a residential treatment facility. And a residential is where you go and you stay at a place and you have 24-hour care and they look over you a lot. That's for usually your high-end, really bad heroin addictions. Then you have outpatient, which is where you live at your own house, but someone comes and overlooks you throughout the day and makes sure that you're doing what you're supposed to and getting your treatment and medication. Treatment is long and hard, and it's important because without treatment, these individuals will overdose, so it's very important. So after this, we've discussed the popular effects on heroin, why it's rising popular, and as well as treatment. We found out it was popular because it's cheap and there's high supply. Effects are dreamy sensations. And then treatment, you have the 3-step process, outpatient treatment as well as residential treatment. I wish more people could become more educated on the topic, and that's kind of why I chose this, to open an eye, and hopefully people will learn from this, and it will take people's mind off wanting to do heroin. And the real question I want to ask you is heroin the real problem, or does the problem lie within the prescription painkillers? Thank you.